comes out and says, well, I don't really understand why Kaepernick doesn't have a job. Yes, you do understand. And if you want to come out and say something, why don't you sign him? Why don't you put your money where your mouth is and sign him to a 1-year deal and see what he has and let him compete for the job and really see what happens. Shout out to Chief Rock in the building. We got Tyjun Mack on the line. Always got him on talking the weekend sports. But I'm ready for Gruden to put his money where his mouth is. That, to me, would probably be the only spot I think he could possibly go at this point in time, this late in the game.
And that's interesting that you say that, because I thought the same thing. And then John Gruden goes out and signs Josh Johnson, who hasn't played football in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? So he goes and signs Josh Johnson, who hasn't played football in 2 years, brings him into camp, etc. So it's a lot of people that say, hey, Kaepernick should be in the league. Well, just as you said, you should put your money in your mouth is and give him a damn job. Give him a job.
Right, exactly.
It's very simple. Give him a job, bring him into camp, see what he can do. And that's it. And maybe if he can get in somebody's camp, somebody else might pick him up. Just might. But we got to get him in the camp first. But I just, at this point, I don't think he'll ever play another down in the NFL, which sucks. But it happens, and at least, in doing so, he took a stand for something that he truly believed in, and was willing to commit to that stand. So I respect it. But he always going to forever have my respect regardless of anything he ever does from here on out.
Right. So you're tuned into the BS3 Sports Show. I'm your host, Ben, a.k.a. BS3. We got Tyjun Mack on the line. Shout out to From the Bottom podcast in the building. Also, Vince Wright, the sports governor. Chief Rocka, if I didn't say that already. Nice, actually, finally meeting you and Sluggo. Also, Rough Buff was at the spot we met at in Atlanta. That was nice. Definitely enjoyed kicking it with you guys. Another thing from this week that looks like came out yesterday is Thomas Davis is going to be suspended for the first 4 games of the NFL season for testing positive for a banned substance. Now, I watched his video, and I'm siding with him, because what he basically says is that I've taken this for 7 to 8 years. He said, never got caught, took multiple drug tests, and now at this point in time, they suspend me for 4 games. So I'm scratching my head a little bit on why this is happening. The other part of it is that he said he was going to be retiring after this year too. So it's really, it's emotional for him, and it's kind of a kick in the gut to him as well. And I'm starting to agree with what he's saying, that I don't think he intentionally took something. I think it just came down to that either the NFL just added this on the list or something to that nature, because he's been taking it for 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I kind of dislike with the NFL and these rules, because there's no leniency or leeway in how they enforce these rules, right? So it's like, if a player's been taking this substance for like 8 years and all of a sudden they got banned, it's like, okay, well, I've been taking it for 8 years. Like, so what's the reason for it being banned? And should I get a warning or something first? Or there should be some process in this, and there is none. It's just literally like, oh, you got caught? We don't care if it was accidental or not. You're gone, and that hurts, So I think there needs to be something done with that. Of course, there probably will never be anything done with that, because it's NFL, and they feel that everything that they do is right, Mr. Goodell, he strictly enforces everything according to him, and how he sees it. So, it sucks for a player like him who hasn't had any issues in the league. Never heard anything bad about Thomas Davis or anything like that. To have that black mark at the end of his career, man, that sucks.
Yeah, it is. And then at the end of his comment, he said, and maybe this won't be my final year. I mean, because nobody wants to end their career with being suspended. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to end their career, a star-studded career that they've had, the way that his career could possibly end. And so that's hopefully he'll come back and he just balls out, and maybe he may come back for another year. But that's the story on Thomas Davis. On to the NFL. Ty Lue is back. So LeBron, gave him a call. He said, "Hey, Ty, I think you feel better now, so you can come back now." I guarantee you that's how that went. Ty Lue wasn't feeling bad at all. Maybe he was stressed, but I'm pretty sure, probably like 99.5%, that he got a phone call. It was like, "Hey, you can come back. We're good. We worked out our issues." But Ty Lue is back, all jokes aside. Ty Lue is back. Hopefully, if he was sick, he's feeling better. And he's back in the mix with the Cavs, coming down, 3 games left. Kyrie is out for the season and the playoffs. Wow. Wasn't expecting to see that. But let's talk about this Eastern Conference right here with Ty Lue coming back. The Cavs are looking to be the favorite. And I got to give a shout out real quick to Mocha Bella. She said, "Who thinks the Cavs have an easy path to the finals?" She posted that on Facebook. So I kind of said a lot, but talk about your thoughts with Kyrie and in the East.
Well, first I want to piggyback on your comment about Tyronn Lue, right? Because it's funny that you said he called him to tell him to come back, but I was reading this interview, and Tyronn Lue was like, LeBron told him, was like, "Yo, you need to take care of yourself, man." Right? and so Tyronn Lue says in the interview, he was like, I started working out again. He said, I changed my diet. I'm not drinking soda anymore. I'm getting healthier. I lost a couple pounds. I'm less stressed. You know what I'm saying? And he said, and during that time, LeBron was like, "Hey, don't worry about us. I got us. You just go ahead and do what you do, and then come back, and then you can lead us to a championship again." And so it's funny that you said that, because it almost seems like they have that type of relationship where it's like, "Nah, Ty, go ahead and go home and chill for a while. I got this, and I'll call you when it's time for you to come back. Like, we got this. It's good." So it's hilarious. But as far as the playoffs, Kyrie Irving, I think the Kyrie Irving blow is definitely huge to the Celtics. And it changes the landscape in the Eastern Conference. I had, even when Boston first started the season, I had them get into the ECF, and I said, "Hey, they can make it there with Kyrie and the rest of the squad without Gordon Hayward." And I said, with Gordon Hayward, they could possibly challenge the Cavs. But without Gordon Hayward, they can't beat the Cavs, right? Without Kyrie, they might not make it out of the first round. They surely won't make it past the second, right? So right now, with the way the layout is, and again, this could change within the next week. I think they have about 3 games left in the season. Right now, they're looking at playing the Milwaukee Bucks, which I think is not a good matchup for Boston at all. Milwaukee is getting healthy. They have a lot of talent on that team that is underachieved, but really underachieved because they just haven't been healthy all season. So they're getting healthy. They could be a good matchup against Boston. You got the Greek Freak, who's like almost unguardable. You got Eric Bledsoe, who's a nightmare in transition and pushing the ball. You got Jabari Parker, who's finally looking like an NBA player. I mean, he's finally healthy.
Right,
and you got a couple of shooters that are on that team that can stretch the floor. So this could be a team that can give Boston some issues. Could either win the series or extend the series. So win it in 5 or 6, possibly 7, or at least make it so that Boston has to work. And I think if Boston ends up having to play a long series, and this is a series, that second round might spell their end, because they'll end up running into like Philadelphia, who I think is like the number 3 seed right now. So I don't see them making it past the second round, to be honest. As far as the rest of the Eastern Conference and the Cavs road, I mean, who do the Cavs have to play? I mean, they're looking at the 5th seed. Who's the 5th seed right now?
Hold on, let me go to the official ESPN standings. It could possibly change though too. But right now, 5th is the Pacers with Victor Oladipo over there balling out.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean the Cavs, they'll beat Indiana if the series started right now. Cavs is going to destroy Indiana in 5 games. I say 5 games. Then they go and play Toronto in the next round. Toronto they don't have the mental to beat LeBron. And I don't care what Toronto's record is. Toronto can win 62 games. They can win 60. Toronto reminds me of Atlanta that season when Atlanta had the number 1 seed in the East. They won 60. I think they won 63 games or something like that. Maybe it was even more, right? But I think they won 62, 63 games. They got to the Cavs and the Cavs just destroyed them. They beat them and they swept them, right? It's something about LeBron. When LeBron plays Toronto just disappears. They have nothing for LeBron. So, to me, who do the Cavs really have to play? I think the only challenge for the Cavs in the East is the Philadelphia 76ers. I think Philadelphia has the right team, has the right pieces, where they can truly challenge Cleveland to win the East. And that's the only team that I think has a legitimate chance outside of the Cavs to win a ring, to win out of the Eastern Conference. I don't think either team will win a ring, but to win the East, I think Philly is the only other team that has a legitimate chance to win.
Yeah, and I want to believe in Toronto. I do, but they're going to have to prove. We all do. They're going to have to prove that they can beat the top teams in the East in the playoffs. They're going to have to prove that. Now, an interesting fact that I was not aware of. Shout out to Angry Black Man. He says Pacers are 3-1 against the Cavs this year. I get that. That is a good point. But LeBron always takes it to another level in the playoffs, and I don't see the Pacers beating. I don't see the Pacers beating the Cavs. I don't see that happening. It may be a good couple of games.
Interesting fact. Didn't Boston have a winning record against the Cavs last season?
Right.
Toronto did too. It's LeBron in the playoffs, man. I throw all records out until you beat LeBron 4 games in the playoffs. Records mean nothing, and nobody in the East has beat LeBron in 8 years, right? Nobody. Yeah. So you cannot tell me about any regular season records until you beat LeBron in the playoffs out of the Eastern Conference. Nobody has done it. So that's why it's hard for me to pick against them, because somehow LeBron wins. He figures out a way to win, and I just don't, I think Philly legitimately has Cleveland's number just because of the matchups that they can create, the precision that they play with. I love Ben Simmons, man. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, them two guys take that team to a whole nother level, man. On the offensive end and the defensive end. It's hard to see. It's hard to see Cleveland match up against them against that team with all the problems that they've had this season. J.R. Smith, I don't even know where he went. That dude just disappeared this year. Kyle Korver, he's streaky, and all the issues that the Cavs has had. Of course they can turn it on in the playoffs, but just when you come to Philly, I think Philly is a really, really dangerous team that you can't make too many mistakes against. So I think they have the biggest chance of knocking them off. Yeah.